Sharon Hackett again, wanting to do another family theory video, especially for my students at Faith Academy, but for anywhere else you can look too. So the last video we did, we talked about the grand staff, and you can see I have a grand staff drawn up here on the board with the treble clef way up over there, also known as, ooh, that's hard to do, also known as the G clef, and then there's the bass clef down there, also known as the F clef. We have a brace at the beginning with a bar line, and then at the end we have the double bar line. So today I wanted to tell you a story to kind of help you remember something. So I'm going to go ahead and start the story. Are you ready? The name of the story is Elton Geronimo Bixley Donald Flanagan. And in case you have a hard time remembering that, I've got that written on the board too. So here we go. Once upon a time, there was a boy named Elton Geronimo Bixley Donald Flanagan. When he got old enough to go to school, his teachers asked him what his nickname was, because they didn't want to say Elton Geronimo Bixley Donald Flanagan every time he raised his hand. Elton Geronimo Bixley Donald Flanagan told his teachers, "I do not have a nickname. I wish I did. I get tired of writing Elton Geronimo Bixley Donald Flanagan on my papers." Even his Aunt Sue tried to shorten his name when he was little. She called him Elton, but his parents would not have it. They said, "His name is Elton Geronimo Bixley Donald Flanagan." Aunt Sue replied, "Elton is his first name. I will call him Elton." "No," said his dad. "His first and only name is Elton Geronimo Bixley Donald Flanagan." I forgot to mention that Elton Geronimo Bixley Donald Flanagan's last name is Smith. But no one wants to say Smith after they've said Elton Geronimo Bixley Donald Flanagan. Elton Geronimo Bixley Donald Flanagan's favorite class in school was music. He liked music because he did not have to write Elton Geronimo Bixley Donald Flanagan quite as often. Also, his teacher was so busy teaching them sight reading, rhythm, and how to sing that she often forgot Elton Geronimo Bixley Donald Flanagan's name. So she just pointed to him and said, "You." One day in music class, Elton Geronimo Bixley Donald Flanagan was very surprised. His teacher did not call him "you" that day. She said, "Elton Geronimo Bixley Donald Flanagan, please stand up and write your name on the board." Elton Geronimo Bixley Donald Flanagan stood up and walked to the board. Everyone was looking at him. Everyone thought that he had done something wrong. Elton Geronimo Bixley Donald Flanagan wrote his name on the board. He looked at his music teacher. she did not look angry. Instead, she was smiling. She said, "Elton Geronimo Bixley Donald Flanagan has just taught our whole class a very important musical fact." Elton Geronimo Bixley Donald Flanagan said, "But I just wrote my name." "Exactly," said his teacher. Elton Geronimo Bixley Donald Flanagan is the perfect name. "What?" said Elton Geronimo Bixley Donald Flanagan. "I hate my name. How can it be perfect?" Elton Geronimo Bixley Donald Flanagan's teacher went to the board and underlined the first letter in Elton Geronimo Bixley Donald Flanagan's name. She underlined each one. Let's do that. We have, there's the E, and the G for Geronimo, and the B, and a D for Donald, and the F. And Flanagan. The teacher explained, "If you look at the first letter in each part of your name, it tells us the names of the lines in the treble staff. E for Elton, G is for Geronimo, B is for Bixley, D is for Donald, F is for Flanagan." Suddenly, everyone in class began to clap. They began to cheer. "Hooray," they said, "now we will always know the names of the lines in the treble staff. All we have to do is remember our friend, Elton Geronimo Bixley Donald Flanagan." For the first time in his life, Elton Geronimo Bixley Donald Flanagan went home happy about his name. His parents even let him have a nickname. Now sometimes he goes by the name Egbadoof. The end. So let's take a moment and look at that, shall we? So what the story was saying was that since we know that this line is a G, the second line, because the G clef marks it as a G, then it just so happens that if we put a note here on that line, and a note on that line, and that line, that line, and that line, that's E, G, B, D, F. Elton Geronimo Bixley Donald Flanagan. That's called a mnemonic. You have probably heard, some of you, it's "every good boy does fine," and that works too. But I like the Elton Geronimo Bixley Donald Flanagan story myself. Also, in the treble staff, those were just the lines, but if we wanted to do the spaces, you've probably seen that the spaces spell face. That's F-A-C-E, like that. And all those are just little tricks. Of course, if we did the spaces in the base, you could do A-C-E-G, all cows eat grass. Or the lines would be "good boys do fine always," so G-B-D-F-A. Those are just little tricks to help you remember the names of the lines and the spaces. But in my opinion, it's more important to know why they have those names. And we covered that in some of the previous videos. And it's because of the music alphabet and because of the clefs and where we put them. So it's really important to get beyond the tricks. The tricks are great for learning the music, but eventually you want to just be able to instantly know the name of those notes. And the only way to do that is to immerse yourself in it. and really play your instrument, really work on your music, you'll be glad you did.